From WXOW, this is La Crosse's own News 19 Live at 5.
The WikiLeaks founder arrested today and sent before a judge after months of hiding out. President reacting. A late blast of winter-like weather hitting the area, which for a time became more and more challenging. And that weather resulting in dangerous conditions on roads. This is just one example of the damage in our region. Good evening. We want to begin with a look at current conditions. It's much calmer at the moment as you have a look from the News 19 tower camera above our station. More snow expected this evening for another couple of hours. We'll have the forecast details in just a few moments. But first, video of that early morning storm. Aaron Holton of La Crosse sent this video. He says the sky over North La Crosse turned dark about 7:30 this morning. He heard thunder, decided to record this video. He began recording just in time to capture that impressive lightning strike. More lightning touching ground in several other areas this morning and overnight. You can see it struck a tree on Sarisa Drive in West Salem. Debris from the incident littering the area, nearly hitting neighboring homes. Residents in that area were without power for some time because of that damage. All that lightning mixed with the other weather causing a number of problems for power companies, as you can imagine. Outages steadily climbing during the day. According to Excel, there are about 65 outages in the area right now and more than 1,000 impacted customers. You can always check for more outage updates throughout the night by going online. Excel Energy in La Crosse says they've been busy all day trying to restore power throughout the area.
Today's storm has more to do with the wind. We had some lightning roll through, but I think most of our outages that I've heard about have been due to the precipitation, the icing, heavy snow in some areas, and the wind.
Clear evidence of those down lines here. Eric Martin took this photo in West Salem and says it's on County B near the Quick Trip there. You can see the lines weighed down by that fallen tree. And the weather making travel treacherous too. This is only one of many reported crashes. This one just east of West Salem. A semi jackknifed, half off the road, the other half in the left east lane. Another company vehicle was extensively damaged and hauled away. The crash shut down the left lane for several hours. That lane now reopened. Roads around Minnesota are challenging. The snow-sleet mix is creating slick and dangerous conditions. This video from the Minneapolis area, where police have responded to a number of spinouts on a number of highways. By morning, the Twin Cities area had about 5 inches of snow on the ground. Along with some roads, rest stops near Rochester are forced to close. The Minnesota DOT says they lost power early today. The closed rest stops include the Marion Rest Area east of Rochester and the High Forest Rest Area west of Rochester. Along with other challenges, it's windy. The video comes from a viewer west of the Twin Cities. You can see how windy it is by the swing flying back and forth. Reports show wind gusts there averaged around 28 miles per hour this afternoon. Farther north, you see the effect of the wind on Lake Superior. This is right on the shore in Duluth. Already water levels at a near record high there, causing major shoreline erosion and damage to the Lake Walk Trail. Duluth is expecting about half a foot or more of snow. And Lake Michigan facing similar conditions. This is video on the shoreline in Chicago. You can see the water high there too, and the high winds are forcing the waves ashore. The National Weather Service says not far from shore, waves are reaching 14 feet. And in central Iowa, the wind's so strong they're toppling trees. You can see here parts of the tree fell down on top of a truck and on top of a home. Luckily, that family not inside when it happened and no injuries are reported. Well, back now to our area. Let's take a look at our Wisconsin traffic cameras. The road's still slick, and it doesn't look like it's going to get much better in the near future. Officials are asking drivers to slow down, stay vigilant behind the wheel, work to avoid more crashes. We're going to turn now to our weather. Justin Esterly here with forecast details.
Yeah, still a lot of weather going on out there. We have all sorts of different types of precipitation between snow, rain, and sleet, and it's still coming through for the most part. Big systems still cutting across the upper Midwest, and it'll continue to do that throughout the evening hours tonight. We are expecting more precipitation, even though there was a bit of a dry patch right now. You can see that the Coulee region is between two different types of mixed precipitation and rain to the east, as well as some bands of rain setting up to the west. We're expecting more of that overnight. Temperatures warming enough to maybe be showers. Can't rule out a few mixed flurries in there as well. We'll have more details on this in a few minutes.
All right, Justin, thanks. You can learn more about changing weather by downloading the free WXOW weather app. For your weather updates anywhere you are, or anywhere you are, it's available for Apple and Android. For Wisconsin road conditions, you can go online to 511wi.gov. They'll have incident reports for all Wisconsin roads. And if you're traveling in Minnesota, you can go to 511mn.org. They also update their site constantly during the day, so you can access the most current information. The family of a one-time part owner of the Minnesota Vikings and his wife asking for privacy as they grieve their parents' death. The children of Erwin and Alexandra Jacobs confirmed their parents' deaths in a statement today. They'd been married 57 years. Alexandra had been confined to a wheelchair for the last year and had signs of dementia. A friend of the family, that is, says Erwin was distraught over her condition. Their bodies discovered lying in a bed along with a gun by a family acquaintance. Erwin Jacobs was a well-known entrepreneur in Minnesota and has been featured in Forbes and Fortune magazines. In 2004, Forbes magazine stated he was one of the 400 richest Americans from 1986 to 1988. Jacobs owned household products company J.R. Watkins for more than 40 years. In some other news making headlines worldwide, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, faced a judge in Great Britain today, just hours after he was arrested on charges there and in the U.S. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez is in Washington with what Assange is accused of and how President Trump responded.
Julian Assange now in police custody, forcibly removed from the Ecuadorian embassy in London. After almost 7 years, the founder of WikiLeaks' asylum there revoked as he faces charges of jumping bail in the UK and of conspiracy to commit computer intrusion in the US.
This goes to show that in the United Kingdom, no one is above the law.
The U.S. Justice Department accusing Assange of conspiring with former U.S. Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to steal classified government documents, which were then released on WikiLeaks in 2010, in what the indictment calls one of the largest compromises of classified information in the history of the United States. Manning served 7 years in prison before then-President Barack Obama commuted her sentence. Assange's attorney now vowing to fight his extradition to the U.S.
This precedent means that any journalist can be extradited for prosecution in the United States for having published truthful information about the United States.
The charge Assange now faces in the U.S. is unrelated to the special counsel's Russia probe and WikiLeaks' release of thousands of emails stolen from the Democratic National Committee during the 2016 presidential campaign. President Trump at that time praising the website.
WikiLeaks, I love WikiLeaks.
Saying today he has no opinion on the case against Assange.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
And in his initial court appearance today, Assange was found guilty of the charge he faces in the UK. It's still unclear when he could be extradited here to the US, where the charge against him carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison if convicted. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Washington.
During Assange's initial court appearance today, he offered little and was found guilty of breaching his bail. The judge described Assange as a, quote, narcissist who cannot get beyond his own selfish interests. If you are looking to shred paper, that opportunity available tomorrow and Saturday. It's Shred Day at Harder's Quick Cleanup. The first 100 pounds of documents you shred are free. Shred Day from 8 in the morning until noon, Friday and Saturday.
Basically what we're looking for is confidential documents, things like bank statements, credit card statements, receipts, anything with your Social Security or any vital information that can be used against you.
Holmquist says people can acquire vital information from confidential documents that are not shredded. That event is rain or shine, no charge, unless you bring more than 100 pounds of documents. Harder's has provided this service since 2016. Well, coming up, if you like to watch your shows and movies through a streaming service, you'll soon have another option. And if you haven't filed your taxes, the deadline fast approaching. We're taking a look at the pros and cons of paper versus electronic submission when we come back.
You're watching News 19 Live at 5 with Dave Soley and Chief Meteorologist Dan Breeden. Live at 5 continues right now.
The April 15th tax deadline is Monday. I bet you knew that, but just in case. Experts say filing electronically is the best way to go. ABC's Maggie Ruley shares some tips.
We used to file our taxes with a precisely sharpened pencil, stapled our W-2s to the forms, put a stamp on that envelope, and took it to the post office. Then many of us began to do our taxes on our computers. But now, even that's old school.
All of the major tax software and service providers have apps, and you can do much of the same things on the app that you can do online or with a download.
Whether using apps or computer software, a majority of people now e-file.
97% of taxpayers now use computer software to prepare their returns. If you're working with a tax professional, they're using professional software as well.
Experts say e-filing is the safest, fastest, and most convenient way to file. But some people will have to sharpen those pencils.
Either there's a form that can only be submitted via paper, or maybe you got rejected, but otherwise you're going to want to electronically file.
Remember, if you don't want to file on your own, you don't have to. When searching for a tax professional,
look for good reputation, a good reputable brand, somebody who's open year-round in case you get a letter from the IRS.
Get somebody who's got at least 7 years of experience, because that indicates that they've been through maybe a few different economic situations.
You can also look up the person's preparer tax identification number, which is registered with the IRS to make sure they're in good standing. Maggie Ruley, ABC News.
Disney expected to announce plans for its streaming service, Disney Plus. Disney has an investor day where the announcement is expected to happen soon and when you might learn about a launch date. Meanwhile, it's becoming more expensive to subscribe to YouTube TV. The cost of that streaming service is going up to $50 a month. Meteorologist Justin Esterly is up next with the forecast.
Now, your Storm Tracker 19 weather.
Well, welcome back. The winter storm still making its way across the upper Midwest, and we still have a few warnings in effect through the evening tonight. Until about 7 p.m., we're going to see that winter storm warnings and the winter weather advisories expire. That's what they're sitting at right now. Again, a lot of the mixed precipitation with rain and a few of those flurries continuing through the night tonight and extending through 7 p.m. Wind gusts already exceeding 45 miles an hour in a lot of areas. But the main threat, again, is going to just be the reduced visibility and the slippery road conditions to go along with it. There's a wind advisory still in effect in the southern counties as well, and a few of those have already seen wind gusts above 50 miles an hour. That's going to expire tonight at 7 o'clock, and you're going to notice that that's when things are going to start to settle down just a little bit. But if we look at preliminary snowfall totals as we went through the past 24 hours, 10.5 inches in Osseo. Hatfield Dam had about 8.5, but here in La Crosse we saw about 7. The further south you went, the less snow we had because of the warmer air mixing in and keeping a lot of it rain. So you'll notice that some of those lower snow totals are in those drier and warmer areas, albeit they still had plenty of rainfall. Now, if we look on the radar right now, you're going to notice that we are in between in a little bit of a dry patch through the central part of the Coulee region. Some isolated showers are still building in northeastern Iowa, and a lot of that wintry mess is pushing off to the central part of the state, but we're expecting to see more of these showers line up and push through the area overnight tonight, adding to our liquid precipitation totals. But this massive storm, and you can see it's still centered just northeast of Omaha right now, or excuse me, northwest of Omaha right now, going to continue to push across the state, across Minnesota through the day tomorrow. That's going to bring a lot of this back end winter storm mess and these flurries here through the area, but ultimately going to keep us on the warmer side because of the warm front extending, bringing up that warmer air, going to push a lot of those through as showers and such. So we're going to continue to see that overnight tonight. Futurecast does a pretty good job job of pinpointing where all of this is. The wintry mess off in the central part of the state, heavier snowfall off in northern Minnesota, and a few of those lines of showers pushing through overnight tonight. After those advisories expire, we're going to see that line of showers push through the Coulee region and ultimately have drier pockets of air move in after that. But as this continues to spin through the central part of Minnesota, we're going to see better chances for that mixed precipitation, snow and rain throughout the day on Friday off to the north. Not going to rule it out for much of the Coulee region though, because we could still see a lot of these back end return flow snow showers push through in the afternoon hours and late evening hours on Friday. Clearing out for the most part though into Saturday, and a lot of the excess snowfall and rain going to continue to push off to the northeast. Now today temperatures stayed above freezing for the most part, but that didn't really help our snow chances much, as highs got around 37 for La Crosse. Still plenty of areas saw temperatures below freezing, which kept a lot of that mixed precipitation and snow a threat. Now right now we're sitting at 37 degrees, feels closer to about 28. Everybody dealing with some kind of wind chill factor because of how windy it was. Some of the gusts that we saw today in excess of 55 miles an hour in Decorah, 54 in Charles City. We had a few that were in the 40-mile-an-hour range, 46 here in La Crosse, and going to continue to be a threat overnight tonight as well. Last observation hour gave us 29-mile-an-hour wind gusts out of the east, southeast. Earlier today, we're going to continue to see the winds out of the east and actually transition over to more of a southerly flow as that warm front passes, but they're still going to be blowing pretty heavy through the day tomorrow. So they'll calm down just a tad overnight tonight. Still very windy, continuing with those scattered rain and snow chances. Might even see a little bit of thunder, as the convection is a possibility with this. But tomorrow we're going to get into the lower 40s. Still going to be breezy though, with those south-southwest winds up to 30-mile-an-hour gusts. Minor new accumulations expected though, as a lot of the moisture has already been pushed off to the northeast as this snowstorm continues to move across the Midwest. So dry day on Saturday, another chance for some late snow, rain on Sunday, getting back towards spring during the midweek, and more showers starting on Tuesday.
Justin, thanks. Weather conditions, I should say winter-like conditions here, but beautiful weather for the Masters in Augusta, Georgia. Today is the first round. Yesterday, the annual par 3 contest. Yep, that's Matt Wallace scoring one of a handful of holes in one. Wallace would beat Sandy Lyle in a playoff. Well, coming up, discipline for teens, that can be a challenge, and why you might not want to do it. Now, researchers say there's actually an alternative to traditional discipline. We'll tell you what that is and how it works, coming up next.
From WXOW, this is La Crosse's own News 19 Live at 5.
Well, what do you do when your teen or tween lets you down? You could provide some kind of punishment, but developmental psychologists say there's another option for correcting teens that could go a long way toward growing good adults. Brittany Lake has that story.
1 minute you're breaking up sibling battles and enforcing timeouts. The next, your toddler's a tween or teen and the transgressions become different. Charlotte Sullivan knows her parents get mad when she leaves a mess.
Dirty dishes or leave my socks on the floor, which I do a lot.
For Dad Jason, it's not what his 12-year-old does, but what she sometimes says.
Charlotte's typical tween sarcasm gets a little bit disrespectful, and then my voice is going to get a little bit sharp.
Developmental psychologist John Gibbs surveyed tweens and teens in grades 5, 8, and 10 to measure the type of discipline kids get at home. The researchers found benefits when parents use something called inductive discipline.
You're trying to induce in the child an awareness of how the transgression, or whatever it was, had adversely impacted others.
For example, instead of taking away cell phones or grounding them, a parent disciplining a preteen or teen might say, "I never expected that kind of behavior from you. I have faith in you. I expect better from you next time."
If the child cares about the relationship to the parent, that's going to make an impact.
The Sullivans say Charlotte's a good kid, and when needed, a little inductive discipline goes a long way.
She feels bad that she crossed a line.
The researchers found that teens whose parents were more likely to use inductive discipline felt they would be more accepted by their parents after. And compared with those teens, parents used other forms of discipline. Also, the researchers found teens who felt accepted after inductive discipline cared more about being a moral person. We are back in just a couple of minutes. Here's a review of some of the day's top stories. The road's still slick tonight, and it doesn't look as though it's going to get much better in the near future. Officials asking you to slow down and remain vigilant behind the wheel to avoid crashes, as we've seen all day. But as you can see here, it's been more than slick roads in our forecast. Aaron Holton of La Crosse sent this video. He heard thunder and decided to record this video this morning. Much of this also causing power outages. Be sure to check WXOW for your complete severe weather details. 6 p.m. report coming up. Scott, what do you have?
Well, Dave, you'll meet an Onalaska woman who is using her skills to help women erase painful memories and some painful physical scars, too. She's a tattoo removal technician who's helping women who've been victimized through abusive relationships or even human trafficking. The story at 6, Dave.
All right, Scott, thanks very much. World News Tonight coming up next, then the 6 p.m. report. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Good night.